Our first home is a derelict Victorian terrace renovation nightmare. From damp, no central heating, black mould to rodents, we have our work cut out as we DIY this house to the home of our dreams. When we moved into number 4, we were basically living like squatters with a makeshift piece of foam for a mattress. We've got our first night in the house all of a sudden. A camping hob to cook off and a bathroom with nothing working. So we needed a sanctuary, a place to retire to recharge our batteries, to escape the madness, bricks and endless dust of this house. So welcome to our bedroom. Not much of a sanctuary, but we are on a mission to make it our first completed room. What are we dealing with then? We have cracked walls, very creepy scratches on the door, actually no door, and broken single glazed windows. It's our first home and we have no idea what we're doing.
Don't need any carpets here. Okay.
But we love to learn, so we started with the floorboards. We could carpet over them, but we had the idea to restore them, see if we could breathe life back into this wood, which is over 200 years old. Can't be that hard. Do I now wish we had just carpeted? Maybe. But we pulled up the floorboards and were amazed to find they were stuck down with Victorian blacksmith nails. So that's what a nail from the 1800s looks like. It's interesting, isn't it? Which we have kept off in a bucket to one side for a future art project. They have been nailed down for 150 years and they resisted. Some broke worryingly easy. Oh, did that break it? And even worse.
I'm a little bit worried about this joist. It feels really spongy, so that doesn't sound safe.
You don't want spongy joists?
No.
The very first of what is turning out to be many skeletons in the closet. So we had to learn about joists. We got kitted up and we knocked down the ceiling. We liaised with our builder and we learnt what a noggin is and we installed new joists. We purchased a planer. We wanted to see what was underneath the layers of muck on these floorboards and the grain was so beautiful. But we also unearthed our next kind of worms. Woodworms, that is.
So, the plan was to refurbish all these floorboards, but there is loads of woodworm and this was a relatively good piece. The idea is that you plane the thickness of it and then it makes it look really nice and new like this. So that's what it used to look like and now it looks like this, which is really nice. But because of the woodworm you can kind of see where the journey of the little beetle has been. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get rid of them.
Can we not go deeper into the wood?
Might be, it just depends how deep the beetles have been burrowing.
It was bad news and we were kind of back to square one. Some were okay, but a lot of the floorboards were too damaged to salvage. That's not great. It's really not good, is it? That was when the mighty wood guards came to our rescue. A neighbour was actually giving away original floorboards and we snapped them up for free before they could be taken to the dump. We did a test of these and amazingly they were in good enough condition to use and the grain a very near match as it was from the same age and just as beautiful. We could now mix and match the best of both sets to complete the room. So we got planing and laid down our floorboards ready to rescue them. We got the room skimmed from Clint, our plastering hero, and the walls were looking lush again. Next up, windows. Paloma is a classy gal, and even though we are doing this DIY as cheap as we can, she wants classy windows. Sash windows. So we changed these horrors into these glassy dreamboats. Sexy, I know, right? To continue on the Victorian restoration theme, we noticed we had a covered up chimney, so we smashed it open. We then found this cast iron Victorian Bobby Dazzler on Marketplace for £50. So we snapped it up and we cleaned it up. And look at that. Changes the whole feel of the room, right? Want more? Coving. We tried to work together on this, but we now have a new motto. Couples who don't cove together, stay together. So Paloma plugged away at learning this new skill, battling our unapologetically wonky walls. You mastered coving?
Really?
Really?
Not quite.
And would you know, I'm giving her an A-star for this. A rewire was done, a column radiator installed.
Why are we happy today? We have radiators, we
Finally
have...
got heat.
Woo!
Ooh.
Look at this, sexy.
Toast the marshmallow on this.
What's next?
I don't know. We decided to frame our bed wall. We decided on a pattern we thought would work, and we got to it. We were worried it might be too chunky at first, but now think it feels just right. What do you think? Speaking of chunky, back to RODENTGATE. You might remember our two squatters, Nugget and Ronald. We had finally caught Ronald and dropped him off at his new hole in nature. And we thought we only had Nugget left to catch until another mouse appeared on the cams. So we had more than 2 mice, we had 3. But now 2 again? Nugget and Ronald 2.0 were onto our bucket trap that had caught Ronald 1. And they were not being fooled by no bucket. Not on the next night. And when we went out, our burglar alarm went off. So it's big enough to be picked up on the burglar alarm. The night after. What a mess. Or the night after that. Can you hear that under the floorboards? Last chance saloon. That Rodent in before we go deadly. But they were getting hungry. We had removed all food sources, so all they had was the bucket full of the nummiest foods a rodent could imagine. Nutella, cat biscuits, and parmesan. And on night 4, Ronald 2.0 had a good sniff and a wobble. Damn it. But Nugget was struggling and could no longer hold out. The temptation strong and... yes! We had her. Nugget the mastermind was sunk. Looking like a drowned rat, we told her off for eating all our custard creams and set her off to live in the same hole as Ronald. But Ronald 2.0 was still at large. And, oh my god, is that another one? Okay, so now we realise we had 1, 2, 3, loads. Our little love story of 2 rodents came to an end, as we obviously had an infestation. But the show had to go on, and we were back onto the floorboards. We have been driven crazy by scuttling sounds over the last few months. And we had one more job to decide on before fixing them down: insulation. We opted for hemp insulation. And what did our resident rodents think of hemp? Well, the amount of ram cam notifications slowed down dramatically, and along with the nosy neighbours seeking out adventure in our exposed house, and the ceiling in the kitchen we knocked down, where we actually suspected it was sleeping, all of a sudden the cameras went very quiet. Silent, in fact. 3 weeks and not a single hit on the cams. We are not sure what was the final blow to the infestation. Was it the cats? Was it the ceiling? Or was it the hemp? We don't know. What do you think? But we can now rest knowing our armpits are not going to be sniffed. And with that, it seems hashtag RODENTGATE 2024 has come to an end. Insulation down, we could finish the floor. Floorboards down! Ah! What's the plan for today, Paloma?
Get these bolts down.
And how have I made our job 3 times more complicated?
When you were really helpful and you did actually paint all of these floorboards, you didn't put them back down in the way that they were meant to be.
So some of them aren't hitting joists at the end.
And we'd cut them so that they matched perfectly.
So now we've got like a really complicated jigsaw to figure out.
Massive.
Because it looks okay, but some of them just aren't hitting joists. Yay! We secured the boards, screw tight screws, and this expanding foam to stop the squeaks. and we could now dance Lindy Hop on it without a single moan or groan. We hired a sander and we gave the floor a once over. We had thought to go dark with the boards, but looking at them in the natural grain, we decided to go with a much more natural stain. So we sealed them and the crux of the room was done. Floors ticked off. Think we made the right choice on leaving them natural? Let us know below. We just needed a door. Step up this lovely green number. Well, this was a punt off Marketplace. £80 for 5 doors, and we had a hunch that under these panels might be something interesting. So we pried it off, and look at that, some epic panelling. As much as we loved the old colour, we wanted to take this bad boy back to the grain, and instead of doing this manually ourselves, we decided to try dip stripping them. They got dunked in this magic bath, and hey presto, the next day they were unrecognisable. We're not sure what type of wood this is, but can we take a moment to admire the funky psychedelic grain that's been hidden for all these years? We had not been expecting this colour or grain, but are warm to the idea of keeping these beauties on show. We've popped them in the room to see how they look in situ, but are still unsure on whether to keep these dark or modify them with dyes or paint to match the rest of the room, or maybe even go back to bogey green. Tall skirting boards and door frames were put down, and the bedroom finally got the coveted Paloma seal of approval. And we started to finish. Ta-da! So this monstrosity Paloma boat has a bad poorly leg. So what are we using to prop it up now?
Yeah, stuck to everything.
Some bricks. It's an improvement to me. Paloma has started the antique furniture hoarding phase of her life.
A vanity table.
A vanity table. And she finished the room to her debatable taste. What do you think? So we are done. Well, almost. Testing out your new bed? Look at this! What's left to do in the bedroom?
We need to choose a painting for above the wall, and then chest of drawers needs legs being put on. We need to put a temporary rug in because it's going to get dusty because this house is so dusty as it is. And we need to put wall lights.
You enjoyed the bed you built, your bedroom you built, yeah?
Oh, it's so comfy.
We also need to get a main light shade, and Project Paloma has something very special in store for you next week. Our next project is the garden, and well, look at it, it's an absolute behemoth of a job. But first off, we need to clean up this dumping ground, and as we are, we're finding all sorts of crazy things hidden here, like this. Is it a smoke bomb? This fire grate, and some bones. The scaffolding has also just gone up, so make sure to hit subscribe now and tune in next week to see the story of our garden, our plans for it, and we attempt the scariest demolition job yet.